on. We've got a few moments.
Okay.
Till it goes live. Is that Isaac I can hear in the background?
Yes.
Is it? Bless him. Is he joining in? Is it his half term?
Yes. He is. He's playing with Nana.
Oh, here we are. Oh, here we are. No, I think we're live.
Ah.
Oh, here we go. Sitting there waiting for it to go live. But give me a sec. I'm just.
Ah.
Oh, here we go. Oh, now. Sitting there waiting for it to go live. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know whether I've just cut us off. Oh no, I think we are live on Facebook. You know what? Let's do it anyway, because even then we can have a conversation with ourselves, because today this meeting is being live streamed. Got it? Well, fingers crossed, let's hope. So today, because it's day 8 of the self-love program that we had going on all last week in Vanessa Loves, today is the 8th lesson, or the 8th topic for our awareness, which is E for every day. And who better than to share today with than my darling sister, who many of you know as being the survivor of an awesome cancer journey, with doing this work every single day.
Absolutely.
So how are you, first of all, Abby?
Very well, thank you.
You do look it, smiling as ever. Thank you, sweetheart, for joining us today. And I did want this to be more of a conversation, because we talk about this work all the time. We keep talking about it. And the reason we keep talking about it is because of today's letter being E, representing every day.
Yeah.
Have you ever said to yourself that if I learn to love myself, or I transform the once, have you ever said to yourself that if I do this once, I'll be done?
No.
Did you believe that though in the beginning?
I did. I was just about to say that, actually. I did think in the beginning that I didn't need to do it every day, and I almost had the thought of, every day. It's got to be done every day. Oh, I've got time for that. But I, having been put in a situation where I have had to do this, almost been pushed to do it, if you like.
Yeah.
So I could survive. I've done it every single day, and the difference it's made to my life is incredible.
Well, you survived.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I survived, but I feel like I didn't just survive. I did it with a good mindset as well,
and grace, effortless grace,
and it made the journey easier.
Why do you think that is? What's fundamentally, because I know it's your word for this year, but fundamentally, what was it that you wanted to experience primarily throughout your journey?
Peace and harmony.
Do you think that is the main reason why anybody would want to do anything in their life? Why do we make choices about anything in life?
Why do we make choices? Rephrase that for me.
So why would we choose to do anything in life? Is it to feel better? Is it to feel at peace?
To feel at peace and to live a harmonious life, and to just live a life on a bit more of an even keel, rather than it just being so up and down all the time.
Totally.
Life is up and down, but actually it's how you perceive life that needs to be the even keel.
And how you experience
and
it.
How you go through the experience of life.
Absolutely. And therefore, doing this work every day is the main way to keep that centered. Peaceful, good feeling place. Totally. One of the phrases that came up for me a few years ago, I actually woke up with it in my head. And I think this was a turning point for me understanding this work. And why is it a necessity to not just learn to love who we are, but to do that every day, to make that choice every day? Was there's nowhere to get to, and it's never done. Right? So, and I know we've spoken about this a lot, as you said to me before, I didn't get it till I got it.
Yeah.
And that for me was my defining moment. There's nowhere to get to and it's never done. Now, I take it you, like me, have a washing pile with a young son in your
Yes.
house.
Yes.
Right. How
And
many
ironing
times?
pile.
Yeah. How many times have you got to the end of your washing pile and gone, oh my God, thank God.
Never again. I'll never have a washing pile ever again.
But that's it. You get to the end and it's all done. And then the next time you turn your back and the next time you look at the washing machine, there's a pair of socks in front of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's nowhere to get to and it's never done. For me, I likened that to my washing pile.
Yeah.
Just when I think I'm done, then there's something else to deal with. So for me, learning to accept that there's nowhere to get to and it's never done. It is a continual journey.
Yes.
Do you think that, were you like me in the fact that when you were younger, when I get to this place, I will feel happy, or use your language, I'll feel at peace?
I'll be happy when.
Brilliant.
And so this journey has taught me to be happy now, no matter what is going on in life, because it's only when you're content. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't going through breast cancer thinking I'm so happy I've got it. It's not that. Yeah. But it was feeling content about the situation, acknowledging that it had chosen me to infect, if you like. Accepting that was the big thing, and just making allowances for the fact that I've got this. Well, how am I going to move through life peacefully with a cancer diagnosis?
I think that's the key word. And I think, because we had a quick chat before this, because like I say, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the end goal people think is to be happy. Absolutely. We just want a happy life.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering whether self-love is not just about being happy, because as you say, we can all have devastating things happen. We can all have unlovely things that happen in our lives, around us, in our lives, or that we're aware of in the wider world.
Yeah.
But to actually, is being happy the correct or truest phraseology, whereas actually whatever is going on around me and my life, to feel at peace, is where I then will feel centered to be able to experience what's going on, but I make a choice to be able to cope and manage. Right. Perfect. So to love one's self, which is what the topic of last week was about.
Yes.
What's been your understanding of loving self? And what's one of the things that perhaps got in the way? So I think it's probably one of the first questions people say, or they come at me with, or objections that they come at me with because this naked philosophy is about stripping back the bullshit stuff we believe to be true here, so we can drop from head to heart. So we can stop focusing on what's going on the outside, so we can come from the inside, because we all know that it's an inside out job, whether we know how to do that, but we all know it's an inside out job. Living
a peaceful life is one from the heart, rather than listening to the head.
So the first objection I get is, I wonder if you've had the same thing, is about, isn't self-love selfish and egotistical?
Okay, this is really, really interesting, because I've been pretty much a perfectionist all my life, and very, very critical of myself. And then when I'm in a situation where, okay, I'm trying to survive and I have some physical changes, so I'm talking about changes on the outside. Physical changes. So when I lost my hair, so I was bald. And many people know I've had physical changes in the chest area as well. So mastectomy. And when you're looking in the mirror at those physical changes, it's very difficult to get your head around that. So you have to practice self-love. Now, what I want to say is that self-love is not, it's not a conceited thing, and it's not egotistical. It's self-acceptance. It's accepting that what you see in the mirror is the same person, the same heart behind all those scars. That's the thing, that's the key. So it's nothing to do with conceit, it's to do with self-acceptance, self-belief, self-knowing that actually I'm a good person without looking at the scars. And do you see what I mean? The physical.
I know exactly. Yeah, what you mean. So you discovered that you were much more than your physical body because you were forced to look beyond the physical self.
Exactly. I was forced to do it, but that was because I had this, life-threatening disease, which I don't want obviously anybody to go through. But the work we would love to do, isn't it, Vanessa, is to help people believe in themselves and have self-love without having to go through such.
Absolutely. Why wait till there is destruction or upset in your life or whatever, however that may look, marriage breakdown, illness, disease, a car crash, whatever, diagnosis you don't want. Totally. And what I wanted to do actually, because of that particular question, you mentioned the word ego. To be really clear about what the ego is. The ego has 6 traits. The first 3 are the ones I like to chat to you about, or at least discuss now. The first 3 are: the ego will tell us, I am what I have, I am what I do, and I am what people think of me. 4, 5, and 6 is I'm disconnected from everything I want, I'm disconnected from other people, and I'm disconnected from the power that turns the world. But the 3 I want to focus on, because they're the ones where we will know when people say to me, isn't self-love selfish and egotistical? On the contrary, you're selfish if you don't love yourself. Why? Because you can't love another until you fully appreciate who you are at the core. And when you're not loving yourself, when you judge another. Because if you saw people and life through the eyes of love, like you would do a baby or a beautiful child jumping in a puddle, you see them. You don't look at a kid jumping up and down a puddle going, why aren't they home doing their homework? You see them as having it right. So when you see and experience life through the eyes of love, which is what the heart is, that's the most loving thing you can do for another. So if you view your life and other people from here, that's selfish, because in actual fact you're separating, you're judging others, which is an unlovely thing to do, right? But egotistical, if I am what I have, I am what I do, and I am what people think of me. I am only worth loving if my body is perfect. I am only worth loving if, what else can you have? I don't know. The perfect partner, the big house, the wage packet, the status, the whatever you think you own, you are only worth it or lovable if you have those things. Here's the thing: what happens if you don't have those things? What happens if you don't have the car, the partner, the both boobs, the whatever? Does that mean that you are not lovable?
No.
And exactly, the logical answer to that would be, well, no, because you're not your house, you're not your car, and you're not your boobs. So that's the first thing. I am what I have. I am what I do. I am only lovable if I do this for a living, or my status is this, or I do something kind, or I'm only lovable if I please everybody. Again, if I don't have that status, I don't do the kind things, and I don't people please, etc., does that mean that I'm unlovable?
No, not at all. But then people think people's perception of that is that they will be unlovable.
Exactly.
And that's the difference, isn't it?
That's the difference. That's what keeps them in the story. I have to people please, or I have to do this for you, or I have to have this job status, or do this for a living, so that I am lovable. I am what I have, I am what I do. So if I don't do that thing, does that mean I'm not? No, it doesn't say anything about who you are, right? And then the last one, or the third one of the ego, is I am what people think of me. How is what you think of me, what does that say about me? If you don't like me, does that mean that I'm scrap? Does that mean that I'm not worth knowing? No, it just means you don't like me.
And the thing is, that's okay.
Exactly. Equally, if you do love me, does that mean I'm lovable? No, it just means you love me. So I think this is one of, because I get this such a lot, and I know you appreciate, but isn't self-love selfish and egotistical? Actually, on the contrary, because the ego will tell you that things outside of you have to be in place for you to be lovable. But take all those things away, you're still, as you said, behind all of what you've been through. Your heart hasn't changed. Your body's changed.
Yeah.
Your story's changed. Your life's changed. But your heart is still the same.
And
so loving.
The thing is when you work on self-acceptance, so we're using self-love, but of course it's self-acceptance, self-belief. When you're working on that, your outside influences change as well. So you can change your outside influences, like the world around you, sort of as in, you know, circumstances for the better, you know, that sort of thing, because of the work that you do on the inside.
And we know that, don't we? But we struggle to believe how that is possible.
Exactly.
Because how can what I think, feel, behave and act and how I feel about myself, how can that change the outside world? I think that's another massive discussion, because day 2 was energy is everything and everything is energy, right? But I think it's fair to recognize that you sit there and I sit here, we're separate.
Yeah.
But the energy that the naked philosophy is about, that turns the world, grows the grass and beats our hearts, breathes our lungs, our digests our food, you name it. What is that? That's the bit that connects you and me. It's not your energy and my energy. It's not batteries that we shove somewhere, right? It's the same energy that's beating your heart and everybody in the world, and it's growing the grass, etc. But that, if that's beating our hearts, that's the place we connect to.
Yeah, that's a whole other story as well, isn't it? Whole other
massively so, yeah. And I think the other part of isn't it selfish and egotistical is, again, we've talked about this and I have this conversation a lot, is when I fix the outside things, I'll feel better.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is fill a void that can only be filled from the inside out.
Yeah.
What does that possibly look like? Eating. You talked about perfectionism. That was a big thing for me as well growing up. If things are perfect around me and I feel perfect in any way, then I will feel much better. I'm trying to fix things from the outside in.
Yeah.
People try to fill a void within with food or a lack of food. People are codependent, aren't they? You've got the obvious things that people try to make things better with: drugs, alcohol, sex, exercise, busy,
yeah,
you name it. But when we try to fix the outside, we think then we will feel better. If you behave differently, then I'll feel better. We have
doesn't work like
no
that.
control over that whatsoever.
No.
That was actually the biggest lesson I learned 18 months ago when you were diagnosed. Couldn't see you. The pandemic kept me physically from you, and it obviously was something, and let's just not play it down here, I felt my world of falling apart. I'm sure you did, but I did appreciate there was, if I couldn't get to you physically, how else could I help you? And the resounding thought that I had was, keep yourself well and send your loving energy to Abby. And then I think that was day 3, 4, when we talked about there's a place in the universe where everything is perfect, whole and complete. And I practiced that by keeping myself well, because I appreciate it's an inside job, and we understand. It's like mobile phones. How can I call you and message you and it appears on your phone? I don't know how that works, but I trust it because it's not, there's no string attached to it.
I think that's the thing, is it's trusting. It's trusting what life has in store for you, and that's a really hard concept to have. But I had to, when I was diagnosed, I had to trust that everything was going to work out okay. I had to tell myself everything was going to work out, so I did. And the thing is when you tell yourself things like that, you then live the life to reflect that.
Yes,
that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, because you're reconfirming for yourself, rather than thinking, I'm going to die. You wanted to live. So your focus,
Mm.
because you can only focus on one thing at a time,
Mm.
you can only think one thought at a time. Now they change like really, really quickly, but you began to reprogram yourself to think yourself as being well. And you did that
Did that, yeah.
by centering yourself.
Yeah, because the thoughts in my head were grave at some point, obviously. And I read this once, and it was fantastic, from I think Michael excuse me, Michael Singer's book, that it's the commotion in our minds. It's not life itself that causes the problem, it's the commotion in our minds that create the problem.
Brilliant.
So life itself is not an issue. I've got a frog, excuse me. Life itself is not an issue. It's how we perceive life. Excuse me.
Yes, absolutely. No, totally. And we talked about that on the day of Love and Above, on day 5.
Yeah.
We talked about the fact that what you think, what you feel affects how you act.
Yeah.
And what you think over and over and over again becomes a life belief.
Exactly.
Affects your attitude, affects your habits. You had lived your life in such a way that now you found yourself in this place.
Yeah.
You wanted to change that, and you understood that by concentrating on feeling at peace, which you felt that was going to give you the strength to deal with what was going on. You had to change the way you think, which changed the way you feel, which changed the way you acted.
Exactly.
And then when you kept thinking that over and over and over again, which was your affirmation to yourself, you had a little affirmation you read out that was in the present tense, you know, basically along the lines of I am already healed, and I'm well, I'm vibrant, I feel at peace, I have choices that serve me. That affected your belief system about your current situation. Because here's the thing, we can't change the end result from the end.
No,
I can't do anything about what you think, feel, or do. I can't. I can try, but I will always end up losing trying to control what
to go back to the beginning.
Exactly. So the only thing I have control of, the only thing you have control of, is my own thoughts, my own feelings, and my own actions. But because we've lived all our lives controlled, programmed, if you like, conditioned by outside circumstances, our parents, our teachers, other people,
peers,
exactly, and now the news and etc.
Man, we weren't born that way.
You what? Sorry,
we weren't born that way. We were all born perfect, whole, and complete.
Exactly.
Only the outside influences that changes our life.
That takes us off down a winding, meandering road away from centre. I think this is such a big discussion.
Yeah,
we could go on forever, but it's interesting. And I've said this many, many times. I remember looking at you when I once said this, and you had such a knowing look on your face. I know that every single person at one time or another has at least had a moment of bliss, a moment of connection, whether you recognize it or not, but whether you are in nature, whether you're in the arms of a loved one, whether you just are centered with your breath, but just for a moment you would go, oh, is this it? That's that relief.
Yeah.
I know we've all experienced that. We just don't experience that often enough. Why? Because we don't love ourselves. Because we listen to other people, we don't listen to ourselves. Nobody teaches us. We've got beautiful parents. Nobody teaches us conditionally as a human race. Nobody teaches us to trust yourself. Listen to your own heart, because they don't. So conditionally, right? We're taught to listen outside of us.
Exactly, but it's the mind chatter. Lots of people's mind chatter is so negative. But can you imagine how harmonious and peaceful life would be if we didn't listen to that? If we didn't listen to a negative thing in our minds ever, how peaceful life would be. And so we choose that.
Well, we don't, because it's the conditioning or the habitual way of being is just, it's easier to believe the bad stuff because that's what's familiar.
Yeah. So that's why we need to change the habits and do the
absolutely. But even if we do have an unlovely thought or a negative thought or something shitty happens, that's also okay, because that's life.
Yeah, of course.
It's how we interpret that. And if I do have a negative thought and I am down on myself, because I have times like that,
of course, yeah,
where they used to be do-day days, they're now like 25 minutes. So you go into that place, and I recognize that, and I acknowledge it, because I know this is the formula that we talked about on day 6. We acknowledge it, we accept it is what it is,
yeah,
and it's okay, and I just allow it to pass. And we do that through repetition and learning how best do I appreciate who I am at the core. And to know yourself at the core, to know that you are more than just your physical being, that there is something out there, call it what you like, turning the world, growing the grass, and beating our hearts, whatever that is, that's loving myself. For me, is appreciating. It's not, oh, go look at me, because that was my thing. That's what I thought loving myself.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go there.
No.
Conceited and egotistical was a real challenge for me. Didn't want to do it. But the thing that saved my life, literally saved my life, was learning to connect with that energy. And I know that's what saved your life too. Even your sanity before it changes your life.
Yeah.
Even the way you feel before it changes your life. Now, I could have bombs going off around me. Chaos can be going on around me. Now, the majority of the time, I can be totally okay with it. Sometimes I'm pulled off center and I'm a bit triggered by it. I'm human. It's life. Catch myself. And I've got beautiful people around me that will remind me, hey, lovely, you're a bit off center. Did you mean to snap at me, or don't be grumpy or whatever, or tight, or they'll just love me because they know that I'm doing my best. But it's practicing it and knowing that whatever is going off around you, this I can choose. This I can choose. I find it difficult to choose it because it's not been the way I've been living my life.
That's the difference. That's the change that needs to be made.
Yeah. However, when we do have the courage to be still, so we just go through the 7 lessons, when we do have the courage to be still, because I do know that this is who I am at the core. I know I'm so much more than this. When I do appreciate lesson 2, that there is something bigger than me turning this world and orchestrating all things, including my body, right? I'm not on a remote control. When I do listen to my heart center, which I know I can get overwhelmed with in the beginning, because it's just not what I'm used to hearing. I'm used to hearing I'm not good enough. I'm used to hearing, like in my own head.
Yes, that's right.
But I'm bad, that I'm unlovable. I'm used to hearing that in my own mind chatter. So to experience the fact that I am love is, oh my God, shut it down, I can't cope. And once I recognize that actually to keep my heart open and to go with that overwhelming feeling, you know, we're just like, I can't go. And then all of a sudden, and it's like, oh my God, I feel amazing. It's the unlovely stories. It's the unlovely beliefs that aren't true. It's the stories that once I allow that to come off, which I think is, again, is what we talked about on day 4 with the freedom, free to be me. Forgiving myself that I've beat myself up with my story, that has then meant that this circumstance in my life, person being horrible to me, a disease, whatever it might be, let go of it all.
That's actually a really good point, is letting go. I think that's the thing, is that when you don't have control over a situation, what can you do apart from just let it go? How you perceive this, it's all about perception. It's a choice. It's about perception of that thing. I can't do anything about it.
Well, and there we go, because this is the thing I know that I've said many times, is I can't do anything about it, meaning the outside situation, but what I can do something about is this. Exactly. So I've got this much energy flowing through my body right now, and that's enough because I'm alive. Do I want to place it on, poor me, this horrible thing is happening, or I'm sad or depressed or angry or whatever? Or do I want to focus on the other end of the stick? Do I want to focus on my physical being, or do I want to focus on the fact that I'm so much more? Do I want to focus on what's not working or what's working?
The thing is, if I'd have focused on the fact that, you know, the bad stuff, if you like, it could have taken me down, the cancer. It could have taken my life. But I chose.
Your experience would have been really, really shitty.
It would have been very, very different.
Very painful.
Don't get me wrong, I didn't have any control over the cancer. The cancer could have, you know, taken me down, if you like. But because of the experience I had going through the whole journey, the whole process, it made it so much easier to cope with, because it wasn't pleasant, you know.
Totally. What your body was going through physically was really like horrific. But by helping yourself feel better,
yes,
you raise your vibration, and when you're connected, that is healing in itself. When you're disconnected, that's where disease can set in. So you just knew that if you looked after your peacefulness, your centeredness, and you looked after your thoughts and your feelings, the rest would take care of itself.
But I had to do it every day, which is what this is all about. Every single day.
I had to do it every day.
And that is the key. And like I said at the beginning of this talk, you know, at the way back when, I'm thinking every day, I don't have to do this every day. But until you do it every day and you experience the difference it makes to your life, then when you don't do it every day, you feel almost guilty for not doing it. And that's the situation. That's almost the situation you want to get to, is that it
becomes a choice. I choose to do this for myself. Why? Because I want to feel better. The problem is but Kate would do that. Or lying in might do that. There's times to listen to your physical body, of course there is, but ultimately knowing that you when you have the energy within you, you make better choices. When you feel connected, you make better choices. And it's about thinking, feeling, behaving and acting from a loving place. That's who we are at the core, rather than from an unloving place, which is the familiar pattern and story from head.
Therefore becomes the most comfortable one, which is not the right.
Exactly. So loving self means that I've got to look at myself through the eyes of the divine. I've got to accept all of me, the unlovely and the lovely bits. I've got to accept the fact I'm more than a physical being, and I've got to accept that I am a physical being. And doing the self-work every single day doesn't take time.
No, it doesn't. And actually, it almost doesn't matter if you do choose for it to take time. Then it's so worth it. So worth it. I practice gratitude every single day. Many people know I've got a gratitude buddy. I've got 2 gratitude buddies, and we message each other every day with 4 things that we're grateful for the previous day. And with one of my gratitude buddies, we've been doing it for over 7 years, every single day without fail. And the thing is when the conscious mind looks for things to be grateful for, it's almost like nothing bad in your life is happening. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying nothing bad in your life happens, but nothing bad in your life is happening in your mind, because you are looking for positivity, you're looking for things to be grateful for. Therefore, the negative thoughts dissipate. That's the first thing to do on a daily basis.
Well, and also because, like you say, when you focus on what you do want and what you're grateful for, that ultimately is one surefire, very simple way to align yourself with the power of love that turns the world, right? The interesting thing is what a lot of people say to me, but how is that going to change? Isn't that too simple or too small? And I think the conditioning is, and I've even said this morning, we think transformation is going to be like a lightning bolt. We think it's going to literally ground us. We turn over a new leaf and then we're done.
Well, let's use this as an analogy. So if I'm sitting like this, okay, how much of a difference if I was to just move my body up a couple of inches? how different does that make me look? As in, I if I was to walk into a room with this sort of, and I'm not talking about walking into a room going, oh, look at me, I'm walking into a room with all this confidence. It's not that, but the smallest amount of change makes such a difference in how you feel about yourself, and therefore how you move through life.
Yeah,
How you talk to
absolutely.
people, how people talk to you, how you.
But if it's that simple and that small, we don't do it because we don't think it's going to make a difference.
Yes.
But if we're doing this thing every day,
Yeah.
doesn't it make sense to just do a little bit each day? Like, you can't eat your whole plate of dinner, your whole life's dinner in one sitting.
Yeah, you eat it piece by
To
piece.
sustain, to sustain your body and how it works. So we know this stuff logically. And I think this is such a big subject, because the greatest change in my life, and I can only speak from my experience, and then from the experience that other people have shared with me, whether that be friends, family, clients, I know what to do, but until I actually do it, nothing is going to change. And I think that's where this self-love block is. I don't believe I'm worthy of loving myself, because I think if I actually do the work to look inside, I think I'm going to believe that I'm not good enough, I'm bad, and I'm unlovable. On the contrary. And it's pushing past, like you were forced to, with a life-threatening illness. Other people are forced to if they have an accident. Other people are forced to because of life circumstances. This naked philosophy and this message of self-love is, please choose to love who you are just as you are.
As you are.
Just as you are.
Anyway.
Just as nature intended. And it's go love
life would be so much better
just as you are, because it's hurt people, and this is why it's learning to come home, if you like. When you point to yourself, you only ever point to your heart center. Learn to love that part. Once you get past the story, that's all you'll find.
And then things,
that's all you'll find.
And then things like if somebody puts you down, it doesn't bother you. Someone put me down the other day, and it didn't bother me. I forgave that person because it didn't upset me, because I knew that what they said came from a good place, so I wasn't holding it against them.
Yes, and it also, what I call the PhD level of all of this is, for me, there's nothing to forgive, because if we are going to forgive, it means that we have once then blame. So is it more about allowing it to just be what it is? If I'm upset by something you say, if you've said something mean or unkind or unlovely, right? I don't know, you're full of shit, maybe somebody might say to me, right? You're full of shit. I'm like, okay, that's fine. If somebody says something unlovely, I appreciate that when we come from here, we judge, we criticize. When we come from here, that's the only thing that's real. So whenever, and this has taken years of practice, but whenever you feel triggered, to learn not to judge and blame, and I'm hurt because of something you said, I know that if I'm triggered, it's because I'm off center. It's because I'm thinking in my story. I'm not thinking in my heart.
That's the work we need to do on ourselves then.
And that's why it's constant, because I can do the lovely work and I can feel really great. And if I don't continue to do it, as in if I don't keep myself hydrated, if I don't keep myself fed, if I don't keep that, right, and so on, then I'm going to get dehydrated. I'm going to get thirsty, right? So it's about keeping yourself fed, and we do that from the inside out. This subject, we could just go on forever and ever and ever.
I know.
I'd like to think that in the 7-8 days, we've at least covered the surface, given us food for thought, more questions. I've been inundated with questions. I think I'm going to be spending the next days and weeks and months answering questions. Abby, thank you for not just joining me in a conversation today. Thank you for putting this work into practice. Thank you for choosing you, because when you do choose you, you know you choose everybody else, because we are all connected. And the reason I thank you for choosing you, is because when you choose you and you love yourself first, you view the world from that perspective and that place. And then here's what helps me sleep at night and helps me get up in the morning. Can you imagine a world if everybody thought, felt, and acted from that place?
Yeah.
Okay, physical impossibility for 100% of the world to be there.
Yeah.
But could we at least hold that as the vision so that more of us did? So there's a tipping point where we have more people loving each themselves and each other, and less people hurting, so they hurt each other. Whereas that's all my vision is. That's all for me what the naked philosophy is about, is loving your true self rather than being in love with your story.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah,
definitely. Every day, little bits every day, not by not like big lightning bolts, but just steps each and every day has what's helped you.
Yeah,
I witnessed that. It's what helped me. I witnessed that. Yeah. And that's the invitation that we want for everybody, because I know now this has become your life's work too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate you. And I'll let you get back to your son on half term.
Thank you, darling.
Bless you.
I can hear him.
Oh, no, it's good. Bless you. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to do that, but we'll just press end. But in the meantime, thank you. Keep loving you. Mwah. It's making the world of difference.
See you soon.
All right, darling. God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.